Back casters are getting a little slick.
Yeah, don't be going off that hill on us now.
All right, folks. We're here with Rickey Roark from Preston,
North Carolina.
North Carolina.
Yeah.
Got up at 2:30 this morning. You say to come deliver my hive.
We got up at 2:30 this morning.
Him and his wife came and drove through this morning and delivered this hive we got behind us here. Uh, your website's Horizontal Bees.
HorizontalBees.com. Yep.
It makes all kinds of different horizontal hives. Does make some laying hives, he said. What all configurations do you build your hives in?
We can basically build the hives in about any configuration that you think of a vertical hive might be able to build. And then we can step them up and even modify that some. So yeah, it's whatever the customer wants. Basically, we can modify it to fit. I mean, we've done some mediums. We've done a few horizontal hives that just running mediums. So that's kind of interesting. So just basically whatever anybody can think of, and that's what I like about them because we can really manipulate them. The vertical hives are a little kind of stuck going up and down, right? And there's some modifications that are being added to them, but these you can really do stuff like rotate this hive over for somebody like you.
Yeah. You guys know I'm in a wheelchair here, so having a horizontal hive here, it's pretty handy. Don't have to lift boxes. I use single frame manipulation with a lot of my inspections. I have a wagon beside me and I have empty boxes, so I frame by frame.
That's what you got to do.
And
right?
it takes forever to inspect the hive. And of course, the bees sometimes they're not very happy about it, and they tell me about that big hive we've been talking about. About 20 minutes into inspection, they're done with me. They start butting me and they tell me.
Yeah. It's time for you to go, buddy, right?
It's time for me to put them back together and go. I'm really going to enjoy this hive, I think. How many frames can we put in a hive like this here?
We can actually put about 34 frames, but the propolis is going to build up some inside your hive, so it's going to go down about 32 frames. And you know, if you turn this into like a queen castle setup, you're going to lose a couple more frames. You're probably going to go down to about 30 frames at that point. So, yeah. But I mean, it allows you to do that, right? You can run one full hive in here. You can run some nukes in this hive. I mean, you can really manipulate it however you want to fit you.
You run these personally at home, don't you?
Yeah, we got quite a few of them at home. We just recently put a lighthouse hive that's from Greg Burns, his design, in our yard, and we put a queen castle in our yard, and we're currently making queens with that hive right now. So it's we started doing some grafting, and I think you said you were going to try some grafting out, and it's a lot of fun being able to go in and plug queens in and watch them grow.
Have your own queen. That's a big thing.
It's a big thing. Yeah. You know, it's like you know as I know, there's a hive that's struggling, right? It probably needs to be requeened, more than likely. If it's not varroa, it's your queen that needs to go. So having the access to be able to take a queen out and dump her in is night and day.
Yeah, you don't have to wait a week for something to arrive from some shipper, and
that's right.
Don't know if it's going to arrive in good health or how she's going to perform.
Exactly. Has she been bred good? You know, are you actually getting that year's queen? You know, that's a big question, right?
Yeah.
So at least if you're making, you know what you've got, right? And if it's not a queen that you like, you know, you can squish her and you've got 12 more to do that with.
Yeah.
You know,
so what kind of return are you getting on your queens in the queen castle?
Well, I told you earlier that, we did some early queening in March, and I barely got back 50%. And that was doing walkaway splits and my queen castle. Everything was about 50%. Actually, I'd say the queen castle is probably 43. Right now we're at right about 65%. So we've done 2 grafts. We did an early graft in March, and then we did one, let's see, it was about 3 weeks ago. We did one there, and most of those queens have come back. So, it's a hit or miss. I'm not good at this yet, so I'm gonna finger at myself a little bit. But it could also be the hive. We just got to test it out and see, right? More people that run them, the better we'll understand them and make sure. Definitely having something on the front of the hive, a color, a letter, or something to make sure they know to come in the hive. That definitely helps out.
Yeah. So. In production hives, what are you seeing for honey production of them? How many pounds are you averaging them?
I'm gonna say like maybe 50 pounds. I'm not gonna say they're gonna produce a ton of honey. I think the key in it is this queen excluder right here.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to really squeeze out the honey, squeeze that brood nest down, because you know you get these pretty rainbow honey frames. There's a lot of honey across the top, and then you get a little pollen, and then you got a little brood. And you may have 26 frames of brood through here, right? And they've got honey across every bit of it. Well, you don't really see that in a vertical hive. You know, that bottom box is usually doesn't have much honey. It's all brood basically, and even part of your second box, and you start seeing some of that rainbowing, right? And then they putting that honey on top, right?
Yeah.
So all that honey that would be in your bottom box is actually being transferred to the top. So this queen excluder right here, that's critical if you want to squeeze out the honey out of it. But I don't squeeze them out because I think for winter, having those pretty rainbow frames, they can go from frame to frame to frame. So I take about 50 pounds off most of my hives. I've got one hive. It's actually the Easy Flow, and that hive is a monster right now. I mean, it is absolutely booming. It's booming so good. I went to get into it, Jonathan, and I left out frames in this side.
Wow.
So I'm gonna have to do a cutout, and it's full of honey in that section. So I'm like, we'll just wait till that gets capped. I'll go in there and I'll take that out. And you know, they're just now moving into the flow frames up there. But that hive is absolutely booming up there.
So what is your trick to get them to produce in the flow frames? I've got a couple of supers over here that I've used last year, and the bees would go in them, but they didn't even draw wax in there. They didn't do nothing.
I don't know about the vertical hives. I mean, for me, to really cause that to happen is, you know, I've got to have 10 really strong frames over here, and I'm not going to let them build in this other section. I'm going to absolutely push them over into those frames. They have no other place to go. They have to put the honey over there. So if you got 10 frames completely drawed out, good brood on it, they're going to finally work their way over it. I mean, it takes a strong hive, I think, to get into the flow frames.
Yeah.
I mean, that's my opinion, and somebody may see that a different way, but that's what I look at. It's got to be a strong hive. We did Hogs Halves, which is like a cassette, and I put it on a hive that was weak a couple of years in a row, and they never built in it, you know. And then this year I've got it on a strong hive. Guess what? They're building it, right? So a strong hive for a flow hive is very important.
Yeah.
That's my opinion, though. I mean, that's what I'm seeing so far.
Yeah. Varroa mites, that's a big deal we've been talking about today, and I think the bees that I had that on, they suffer from Varroa.
Right.
I think they're over-treated from the person I got them from, and none of them survived for me.
Right.
We're rebuilding. We're getting some VSH stuff going on here and some Russians.
So you got some Corey Stevens queens coming. Is that not correct?
I do.
That's awesome, man.
Got a dozen of them.
You got a dozen of them?
I got a dozen.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a bunch of queens. If I can get half of them to return, I'm gonna be in good shape for next year.
Be in great shape next year. Well, just remember, you got some friends on YouTube that might like to. If you got too many of them, that you like to donate one. You know?
Yeah, so. I'm sure we can do that. And that's one thing I'd like to get into is to raise some queens.
Right.
Just like we said, it's valuable to have them here, but I've got people that's called me that know that I have bees. You got any queens?
You got any queens? It's always the question, ain't it?
I was hoping to have some this year and just didn't get very good returns on mine either. Like yours.
Yeah.
Kind of a funny year.
Yeah, it's been a funny year. You know, we started out with 14 hives up there, and we've already pushed up to 36 at the house. So, I mean, we've really done a lot of splits, a lot of queens. So, having a queen castle, it just gives you that extra step, that advantage to pick the right queen for that hive. I mean, if you have a queen that returns that don't look like she's bred out well and it's got a bad brood pattern, you can pinch her off and not worry about it, right? I mean, if you have a regular hive that's you've done a split for it and it's struggling, you just hope they make it through winter, right?
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, I appreciate you bringing this to me. It's been a long day for you, and you got a long day ahead of you yet.
Well, I tell you what, when you got somebody like Jonathan that you get on the phone with and you talk to, and you know, I told him I would come. You know, I thought he was in Tennessee and he was in Missouri, and I told him, I was like, oh, he's in Missouri. I'm like, but if I give somebody my word, I'm gonna come out and do it.
I sure appreciate it.
And that's why we're here.
Yeah.
So, and I'm glad I come out because there was a couple little things that need to be modified while we come out here. So I appreciate you letting us work on it.
Yeah, but we got her set up, and I look forward to putting it to use here.
That's right. Appreciate you, John. Thank you very much, sir.
Tell them where you can find your hives.
You can find our hives on horizontalbees.com.
All right.